It's an opportunity for Anne Hidalgo, the Mayor of Paris, to meet with victims' families and loved ones, survivors, and some of the associations who've been helping them through the last 4 years. Obviously, there are many different stories as to how people have rebuilt their lives in the wake of all of this, but the glue that binds many of them together are these associations like Life from Paris. We're going to be hearing from a few of their representatives today. There's questions to ask really about what the next stage is for them. At what point do they decide that closure has been reached? Life from Paris, for example, is saying that it's planning probably to wind up its operation in the wake of a major trial, which is set to get underway in 2021, coming after what was obviously a labyrinthine investigation for the French authorities. That trial set to put 20 people in the dock, including France's most closely guarded prisoner, Salah Abdeslam, picked up months after the Paris attacks. There were some 1,700 plaintiffs. A special courtroom is being built for it at the old Paris law courts on the Ile de la Cité. And obviously it's going to be a trial that's very closely followed by media, both nationally and internationally. As I say, as far as those associations are concerned, the idea is that it does provide a final closure, as it were.
Chris, the suspects, the perpetrators of this attack, linked to a terror group, the Islamic State group, in the fallout since then, in those 4 years, has that created, would you say, more of a division here in France, perhaps toward Muslim communities, isolated them?
I think in some ways some of the issues that come up on that front would exist, terrorism or no terrorism. Though obviously the fact that France has been through a deadly few years, those two huge attacks on either side of what happened on November the 13th down on the seafront in Nice, and before that Charlie Hebdo, followed by a series of smaller scale terror incidents. But they've perhaps increased tensions and added to the passion behind some of these debates that go on. But these are things which were happening in France anyway. Things like the debate about this country's particular version of secularism, laïcité as they call it, and what seems on many occasions a national obsession. Really, this debate about the wearing of the Muslim headscarf. For example, in public services. That's been back on the agenda again in recent weeks. What's more, just last weekend there was a big march against Islamophobia in the wake of that attack on a mosque down in the south of the country in Bayonne. Even that proving divisive. Some left-wing French politicians led by Jean-Luc Mélenchon attended that march. Others refused to, saying that they wouldn't march alongside Islamists. So the terrorism hasn't made these debates any easier, but they were all kind of underlying currents in French society anyway.